Hi, I'm Julio Sainz along with Mauricio Riveros. Today on Be Inspired, we'll meet Grace Tillinghast, local business owner and president of the Rochester Hispanic Business Association.
We hope you will be inspired.
Celebrating leaders in Rochester's unique and vibrant business community, we'll meet entrepreneurs whose passion and perseverance have helped push through life's challenges. Join us as we share their stories and journeys to success. It's time to be inspired.
Grace, thank you very much for being in Be Inspired, a show that we developed to interview people like you who have able to do a lot of things in our community, develop great relationships. So let's learn, who is Grace?
Grace is a person that came to Rochester probably before you were born, many years ago. And first I was teaching at Cuca College. And then somebody who I don't remember now who the lady was came to see me and asked me if I would be interested in joining Eastman Kodak Company in the international division. And that's how I ended up, in Rochester. Now, I have to be honest, the community has been wonderful because they embraced me. I was a foreigner. I didn't know anybody except, my small family. And I said, well, I would like to do this and I would like to do that. And they said, oh, sure. And that's how I started doing a number of things. And of course, being at Eastman Kodak, and I was, as you know, the worldwide manager of public affairs. And public affairs means a lot of things. You deal with the government, you deal with the community, and you do local, state, national, and some international, except China. So I had all these things going on. And that meant that I met a lot of people. I made a lot of connections. And when you make connections, you were able to shape certain things. So that
is wonderful. And see you, coming to a different country, different language, different culture. So tell us a little bit, what was that experience to come to a completely different environment?
Well, at the beginning, when I was an exchange student, I was in Portland, Oregon. And now I laugh about it. At the time, it wasn't funny. This is a radio. You probably have never seen this because in the underdeveloped countries, nobody knows what a radio is. Excuse me? Or show me different food that is common to everybody. Or Christmas. Christmas is when Jesus was born. Well, yeah, I know, we celebrate Christmas. So that was the lack of understanding of a lot of people. Now, unfortunately, not only it happened many years ago, it happens nowadays.
Okay.
A couple of weeks ago, I was interviewed by a college senior who wanted to know how it is to be an immigrant and what you do and, the experience. And then he said, well, how many people from Venezuela are now in Argentina? And I said, I truly don't know. Maybe some, because it's not that easy. He said, oh, no, I see them crossing the frontier or the border every day. And I said, no, they are crossing into Colombia. Oh, I thought Argentina was next to Venezuela. And I said, you have a lot of geography to learn like that. It was much easier when I was here working. The professors that were with me were very welcoming. And so were, the rest of the people. And I got involved with the Lions and the Rotary clubs, and then the schools, and going to the schools, and then of course here in the community with a lot of organizations, and that really helped. That really helped.
Now, the story you told us about the college senior is a little surprising, but then again, it's not. How do you think the average person in the Rochester area is in terms of awareness of other countries and other cultures at this point?
Very little. Absolutely very little. I've
Has it
been,
gotten better than when you first got here?
depends who the people are. The people, and some people do not understand that people speak Spanish, whether you have different words for certain items. But it's one language, basically, and when you write it, it has to be written properly, and it's the same language. I met somebody whose mother is from Colombia, and she introduced me to this lady. And she said, oh, this lady, la señora es de Argentina. And she goes, ¿qué voy a hacer? Yo no hablo argentino. I do not speak Argentine. I mean, completely. So it depends where you are, Julio.
Sure.
It has improved, yes. But in general terms, schools do not teach you about geography. That's gone. They teach you very little about history. Now, I do teach Spanish. I'm a volunteer teacher, among other things, at a Catholic school. And my sixth grade students, I have a map, and they all know all the countries, including Spain, where the language is spoken. And I have them doing special, projects where they have to present about a country and tell me everything they know. Or talking about literature. A week ago, they were supposed to do a presentation on Don Quixote and Sancho Panza. And that's the way that you are, okay, La Mancha, where's La Mancha? Let's find where La Mancha is. And I can tell you that those kids are never going to forget. Or a young lady that, because they selected the countries, she selected Costa Rica. And she did a phenomenal presentation. And when she finished, she said, thank you, because I have never even known about this country, and I would love to visit someday. So you are, it depends on who you're talking to.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, this is very important because we are becoming more a global community. We are connected. Businesses are, interacting now in internet through all this web world and the cloud. There is no borders. There is more interactions. There is more need to know more about each other. So in that line of thinking, you now, of course, work with the Rochester Hispanic Business Association, and a
Yes.
great organization that is really helping to include the business owners and business community in the Hispanic community specifically. So tell us a little bit about the organization and what you guys are doing.
Well, the organization is, as you probably know, 30 years old. And I have to admit, I was a chartered member, so I've been there for 30 years. It took me about 20 years to be elected president. I was the first female. I mean, they scare of women as well, and they don't understand that we can do as good a job as, the men can. And the idea was to have a forum where business owners and Hispanic professionals who work for a business could interact and, share a lot of experiences, because sometimes some people come to you, well, how do I write a business plan? What do I need to do? Do I need a lawyer? I mean, all these things, even like a DVD, I mean, some people have no clue what it is. So it gives us, an opportunity to interact with each other. Some are bigger, some are the Pikes of Rochester, others are smaller organizations. And every year we have, we have a website, we have Facebook, although a lot of people don't really go a lot to Facebook. But the website seems to be, addressing a lot of the things that are going on. And we have business lunches once a month. And you have participated. You have been one of our guest speakers at one of the lunches. And this year, all the lunches are going to be at the Mangú. We are not going to alternate with the Chamber of Commerce. And we have one annual lunch, which is always in September, where we recognize a Hispanic business person, he or she, who has demonstrated commitment to the community, and who is a successful person. So we like to, you know, highlight, honor that person. And of course, people nominate. We open the nomination, actually will be open mid-March, and then a lot of people send, you know, their preferred people, and then there is a selection committee, and then we, you know, select. Sometimes, believe it or not, people don't want to be recognized. We had a person, and it was going to be perfect, and I called, he said, oh, no, my wife will kill me if I accept. Really? Well, no, we are okay the way we are, my business is doing fine. And it's a way, again, to reach out, you know, to people. And every year we provide 2 scholarships for Hispanic students who are, you know, going to college in the fall. And we also started another scholarship for a Hispanic, a working person who is attending MCC downtown. And the downtown, why? Because most of the people in the city that are Hispanics and are working, you know, persons, that's the perfect place for them. So it's also a way to get them, you know, prepared for a better future.
Thank you, Grace. We'll be back with more after these messages. Grace, with your experience working with the Rochester Hispanic Business Association, and a lot of the folks that watch the show are people who are thinking of starting a business. With your experience working with the organization, what would you say are some of the key characteristics that someone who should have if they want to be successful in starting their own business?
Well, you have to be ready to work, have a good work ethic, be prepared if you're starting for long hours. Owners usually, or new owners, do not realize that. And then you have to have a business plan. Things are not going to happen overnight. And you need to be organized, very organized, and also find out how many other people are doing the same thing that I'm doing. Because maybe there are too many of that kind of a business and you're not going to be successful. And you have to pay, you know, if you're renting, you have to pay your rent, your phone, your utilities, whatever. So money has to come in, it has to be afloat, and also you have to make money if it's a business. So that's one of the things. I've been approached by a number of people. Well, I have an idea, my wife is a good cook, we are thinking of maybe opening a little restaurant. Stop. It's not that simple. What are you going to do about this? Oh. And it's not that you are trying to dissuade people from doing anything. You're just trying to, you know, reality check, which happens in no matter what you do. And it's in business, and it's also when we are dealing with scholarships. I mean, okay, what are you going to be doing? And what is your dream? To get to that dream, there is certain things that have to happen. And sometimes we do okay, and sometimes
Right. Well, it's interesting, and it's so powerful to have an organization like the Rochester Hispanic Business Association there for people and help and identify ways, even ask those right questions. That is fundamental. Now, how do you are seeing the progress on the Hispanic community in business in general in Rochester? You know, you have been many years here, and probably you are seeing an evolution of more professionals, the things changing, the demographics are changing. What's your perspective around that?
Well, the demographics are changing. The only problem that a lot of the business, and it's not just the Hispanics, in Western New York and around Rochester, some of them leave because of the weather. We have several members who just pack up and say, you know, I'm going to South Carolina, I'm going to Florida, and they are doing fine. And then taxes in New York. I know that our governor believes, I don't think he believes it, but he says that he believes, that people are leaving because of the weather. Well, they go to Vermont, that is colder than or Massachusetts, taxes are killing a lot of the business. And when you have to pay the amount of money and everything, every year there is something new that they ask you, to do. And a lot of people. Now, on the other hand, we have more professionals. So the professional community is getting bigger. And those people are working for big companies or smaller companies, but I mean, they are doing very well. So it's growing. It's growing.
And the overall economic picture for Rochester, how do you see it as far as growth? I know you mentioned the hindrance of taxes.
You know what is interesting is that the housing industry is doing well. So it means that people are buying, people are doing different things. Now, we have a small business, I own a small business, and we can see the difference in the population that come to my business, because I'm in the west side, Spencerport is closing classrooms, Brockport, the population is going down. A lot of those people that could support are gone. They're moving, and what do you do? I mean, you don't have the students, and that affects all the businesses and everything around there. So, how do I see? I see some places where everything is doing fine. Overall, I'm a little cautious. I'm a little cautious about that.
That's fair.
Now, talking about the Hispanic community and how Rochester has been changing, one of the things that happened in the past, there was a heavy Puerto Rican community, but seems like now we are seeing people from other countries coming to Rochester. We're seeing more people from Colombia, Argentina, Venezuela. There is a lot of people actually from Venezuela coming. What's the evolution that you see in terms of that composition of the demographics in the Hispanic community in general?
Well, many years ago, as you know, Mauricio, it was mainly Puerto Rican. And there was a reason they came for work and this and that. And then we had an influx of Cubans. When the problems were in Cuba, a lot of Cubans came. Did they stay? No, they went south for the good weather. The three persons that have the largest numbers of patents registered for the company are all Hispanic. 2 Cubans and 1 person from Peru. Nobody knows about that. They have, and that saved, in a way, the company for a number of years, because when things started going south, they were selling to others those patents. But nobody will come up in the future with more than 100 patents registered and things like that. So the brain power of all these people, and nobody knows, nobody advertises who they are. They're all professionals that came here and they, made a life and very successfully.
Very interesting. And I know you worked in public affairs, and I know you're involved with the community and volunteering. You mentioned it a few times. Why do you feel it's important for a business to give back to the community?
It's a two-way. That's the way I've always seen it. I'm helping you, you are helping me. And some businesses understand that very well. They are very philanthropic. And Rochester has been known for all the philanthropy, starting with George Eastman and a few others that have given a lot more probably than some people say they should. But everybody here that has money is doing a lot of stuff. Look at Tom Galizano. Tom Galizano gives money all over the place for good causes. And people sometimes, they just think that just because, he has it, he has to give it. But he understands that, it's a two-way street. Now, the small businesses, they all contribute. And when you are supported, then you have to support. That was something that when I had the power to do it at the company, I was sure that we were supporting a number of organizations. And it was community organizations, arts organizations, the whole, the schools. And of course, the scholarships we used to give. in the good days, a lot of money for scholarships.
Well, it's really wonderful to see how many things you have done, Grace, and knowing you very well in the community is important. I think being in this show and Be Inspired is we want to inspire the community that is possible, that people can do great things, and you are an example of that.
Well, thank you.
And for many years, through Rochester Hispanic Business Association, through MCC, through many organizations that you are part, you have been giving back to the community and really building that next generation of leaders. And for that reason, in representation of all the Hispanic community, we want to say thank you so much for all the contribution. This is a very important interview. I know we'll have the records. You know, Julio has wrote a book about the Hispanics here in Rochester. And that's what I think is important, is highlighting, doesn't matter what's the background, what matters is what can we do together and contribute for the communities. For that reason, we want to say thank you for coming today in our show, and I'm sure in the future we will have you for other future interviews. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much
Thanks,
to both of you.
Thank you.
Gracias.
Much.
Coming up next week on Be Inspired, we'll meet the owner of a brand new Zumba gym here in Rochester. To watch today's episode and the complete interviews of our guests, go to rochesterfirst.com/beinspired. For more great talk with Rochester's entrepreneurs, listen to Poder 97.1 Saturdays at 9 a.m. For Mauricio Riveros, I'm Julio Saenz. We'll see you next week on Be Inspired.